Hey guys, welcome to the We Win Injury Law podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Todd, sitting here with my co-host, Jaren, the Snow Canyon man, Sandberg. We're going to give you a little feedback and introduction to who we are and why that's relevant. But today we're here to talk about the truth about insurance companies and why don't they pay what you deserve. So let's hop right in.
Well, there's probably some people out there that you get what you deserve, but it's not accident victims.
No, I don't ever really feel like I get what I deserve.
Well, every once in a while, you yell at your kids and you trip on something. You're like, well, instant karma, right?
You deserve that.
I deserve that, or even like my kids will do something and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, but
You deserved it.
you deserved it.
I'm starting to see a lot of TikToks actually recently that say, I deserve an alcoholic drink. And I'm like, why?
And what'd you do?
I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I'm just curious, like, why did you deserve it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because when they're on vacation, they're like, I can finally let loose. We deserve it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about any of that today. Well, some of it. But we're talking about why insurance companies don't pay what our clients deserve. And we want to get into the weeds about insurance companies. We want to kind of get into the weeds about what makes insurance companies do what they do and offer what they offer. And it's something that's super relevant to us and why we like to talk about it, and something that we want to discuss throughout this podcast and even today as our opening podcast. But people don't really realize that insurance companies and what they pay or what they don't pay has more to do with politics, religion, morality, the stock market. And when we bring that up to people, they are oftentimes like, why is that even relevant? And why is that even a discussion?
Yeah, they don't really understand kind of the depth of how complicated this process is and why weird things happen on their case before they get with an attorney. And I think it all kind of plays into the same bowl of why you're not getting what you deserve and why that's what attorneys, the joke is always going to be, right? If insurance companies ever decided to just pay what's fair, we'd all be out of a job, right?
Right.
And luckily it's getting worse and worse, not better and better.
Well, worse and worse for clients and better for us, because that means obviously we have great job security. Yeah. But that's all super relevant, and hopefully you find it relevant and interesting, because we're injury lawyers that practice in Utah. And if anyone out there listening, watching, hears Utah, I mean, I think instantly you think Mormons, right?
Mormons or Park City.
Oh my gosh. Recently, the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, of which one of them I did a TikTok with recently. Yeah, so that was cool. But
Hulu famous.
Hulu famous. I don't know if I was Hulu famous. She was Hulu famous.
She was Hulu famous.
But for a period of time, that show was the number one watched show in America. Wow. So I think people do find Mormons intriguing and all the whatever intriguing. And it's relevant. It's relevant to what we do on a daily basis. Yeah. It really is. It's relevant to what we do. Because people, if I were to say, hey, how is being Mormon or living in a predominantly Mormon state relevant to your injury case, people might find that like, wait, what? Why?
Yeah, it shouldn't matter, right?
It shouldn't matter.
That's the
Why would it
thought.
matter?
Yeah.
But it does. It does matter. So we're going to talk about those things. And then, politics, right? Why would politics matter? And goodness gracious, I mean, politics are at an all-time, crazy high, I feel like. Well, they always are.
Yeah.
To be fair.
And right now, too, there's things that politics play a part, not only national politics, and these, most of these insurance companies are not like, there are some state-specific insurance companies that we work with, but most of them are national companies, the Progressive, State Farms of the world, the big companies. Everyone's heard of them, seen their advertisements. Those are the companies that most people think of, but there's state-level things that affect your case, there's national level that affect your case, and they have lobbyists in all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's money, right? When you say lobbyist, the first thing I think of is money. Yeah. I mean, that's what lobbyists do. Lobbyists are lobbying for money, and whether it be on behalf of our clients to minimize statutes or limitations timing or caps on wrongful death. That's happening. It's a big thing happening in Utah. But we have awesome and amazing lawyers and lobbyists around the country that are lobbying, like you said, state and federal legislation to help victims of people that are involved in accidents or medical malpractice or whatever it may be. So yeah, lobbyists, money.
Yeah. Well, and it's even interesting too, like even within the attorney organizations, we have these lobbyists that, we have the ABA that I feel like for the most part on civil rights issues and things like that kind of comes out where most attorneys think and how attorneys think. But there's some issues that it's hard to get consensus because some of the most organized, even internal lobbying for states are big defense firms, right? Your average personal injury firm, besides the Morgan & Morgans of the world, are not huge corporations. They're not massive 400-person law firms. Most injury firms are smaller businesses, 10 to 20 attorneys. I think on the state level, and we see this with committees, we get these emails on who joins committees at the state level because the state bars, for the most part, are who are running things on the state level. But the people that are joining these are normally not the type of person like me or you because we don't have time, one, to drive up and make ourselves available for that level of stuff. But
we are trying to represent and advocate for our clients. Yeah. No, it's a time-consuming thing, yeah.
But these defense firms, they can easily, okay, we can spare 2 attorneys and have them go beyond this committee that helps advance the defense position. And it's just funny because sometimes I hear these attorneys that they're advocating for a position of like policy, capping damages, those kind of things. And on the one hand, I think I get it. I get where they're coming from. But on the flip side of that, they might cap themselves out of a job because you put too low of a cap on anything. And so, for example, in the medical malpractice world, we see this a lot in Utah.
Totally.
You get this cap on damages of $450,000 for pain and suffering, and it eliminates most of our cases that are catastrophic but don't have a huge future medical bill coverage limit. And so these attorneys advocating for these caps, which again are our peers, you put that cap low enough, and now there's no one filing medical malpractice claims, or at least they've been,
and then no one defending them,
So they'd cancel out both sides of that coin of they need us for them to be employed. I mean, it works both ways.
But in the name of justice and fairness, and that's where it gets really tricky. And you guys all know that, right? Yeah. And a lot of that comes down to perspective, fairness, justice, and depending on what side of the aisle you're sitting on, that looks drastically different for each of us. And so that's super important to kind of keep in mind. And so as we talk about the truth about insurance companies and the tactics they take, we call it the 3 Ds, right?
Yeah.
Deny, deny, deny. Oh, wait, that's 3 Ds. But I meant to say, well, that was emphatic. I was trying to suggest that's what they always do. Yeah. But the second D, delay, right? And defend, which is they delay you, push you out, they ignore you, and then they defend lawsuits because at some point we have to file lawsuits because they won't pay what's fair and reasonable pre-litigation, right? Pre-filing suit. And so if you're seeing this and you know somebody or you've actually been involved with a lawsuit or been involved with an accident case yourself, this is the tactics they take.
Yeah, and a lot of our clients, not everyone knows to call an attorney right after an accident.
Most people don't.
They might wait 2 or 3 months sometimes by the time they call an attorney, and a lot of times it's those same frustrations as like I can't get a hold of anyone, or I keep getting pushed around to like 6 different departments, and I don't know who I'm supposed to be talking to. And other times it's, they did assign someone, but then it changed, and I don't know who I'm sending this to, and there's a lot of that kind of delay and confuse them. And I think that plays a big role in a lot of people just
giving up.
Give up.
They give up. So for people listening and watching at home, and hopefully you subscribe to our podcast. Hopefully this is entertaining. Hopefully this is informational. Hopefully it's helpful. But a lot of people do give up and they won't call lawyers because they just take the lowball offer, right? When insurance companies do that first D, right, deny, they'll accept some responsibility because it's okay, fine, we hit you. We want to take accountability, but we think what's fair is $500. Yeah. And you're like, I went to the emergency room via ambulance. My bills are now $5,000 and you're going to offer me $500?
Yeah.
Like, that's just, how is that fair?
Yeah. And one of the things that we've been seeing a lot lately, and we've talked about this before, but someone comes in and they're like, well, I was just in the accident 2 weeks ago, but the insurance company's already wanted me to settle, and I'm still going to the doctor. I'm still doing these things. I'm just barely into my treatment plan with what my doctor's recommending with physical therapy or chiropractic work. And the insurance company is working around those state minimums by saying, the state minimum, for example, in Utah is now 30,000, was 25,000.
Liability minimum, meaning that if you buy an insurance policy, the minimum available insurance that you can have on your vehicle is $30,000 in the event you cause an accident with injuries to somebody else.
Yeah, and what they'll send them a week or 2 weeks after the accident is, hey, we're going to pay you $1,500, which again, when you're trying to buy a new car and all these things, those little amounts matter and they know it. And then they'll say, and you know what? We'll pay your medical expenses up to $5,000.
Right.
And again, as me, I'm looking at that going, well, even if you don't use me as the attorney, the minimum that they should be able to cover still should be that state minimum. I mean, that should be the limit, the minimum limit on that policy, and that they've lowered it from the state minimums, which again, going back to that lobbying position, these insurance companies, again, and it's everyone thinks their own insurance company is the great guy, and it's everyone else's insurance company that's terrible, because I've been paying my premiums for 30 years.
I mean, we do hear it. I don't know if really people think they're so magnanimous, but they that's what they do take that tactic, right?
Yeah.
Of trying to buy you on the cheap, which comes back to money. And the reason why that's relevant, again, going back to deny, defend, delay, is because the insurance companies are only worried about their bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we're talking about these tactics, we're talking about why they don't pay what clients really deserve, and what we think as their attorney the insurance company should pay, is because they have bottom lines. They're giant corporations that have to answer to their stockholders. Okay. They have to submit reports every year to the SEC about profit and losses, assets and liabilities, right?
Yeah.
If you know what a profit and loss statement looks like, you have assets and you have liabilities, right? Yeah. Insurance companies have to report their liabilities. So every day, insurance companies are getting new claims submitted.
Yep.
Every day, right? So when a new claim gets submitted, they have to then report that, and they instantly set what's called a reserve automatically. And the reason why they do that is because then they have to acknowledge, right, to their shareholders and to the SEC and government, all the reporting different agencies, accountants, and everyone that's looking into their books, what are the liabilities? And so they're trying to buy you off the cheap, like you just described, because if they can set a reserve for $5,000 on every demand or every claim that comes in on the daily, then their expenses don't look so bad. Or if they need to show expenses because they had a great year and they paid their CEO $50 million, right?
And they raised everyone's premiums.
And
they blamed it on bumpers.
Then they have to then increase their expenses, right?
Yeah.
So then they set reserves that may seem high. And so the whole thing is just, and I'm sensitive to this, the whole thing's a game.
Yeah.
It is an absolute game. And I had a crazy story recently. And I've been practicing injury law for almost 20 years in Utah. When we file suit, and you said earlier that there's a number of reasons why people don't call lawyers straight away. Either one, maybe they're not hurt, right? They don't feel like they're hurt until later, and they're like, oh gosh, I really hurt. Two, maybe they're anti-litigious. We hear that a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's in my moral compass not to sue, and I'm not someone who sues people, and that's not me.
We hear that a lot in Utah.
I'm a good neighbor, right? Yeah, we hear that all the time in Utah, which is fine. I appreciate it, right? I can appreciate it. Or they're worried about, I don't want to sue. I do want to file a claim, and I do feel like I deserve to do so. I just don't want to file a claim or affect that person, because that person's a nice person. It was an accident, and I know they didn't mean to hurt me, so I don't really want to file a suit against them.
Yeah, we do hear that a lot.
We hear that all the time. But I want you guys to know, okay, we're not going after that person. We're going after that policy. Now, if you got hit by Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, well, you're damn right. We're going to sue them, right?
Yeah.
Because they have the assets that are probably far superior than any sort of insurance policy.
But even then, most of those people, and we've dealt with this a lot, when we deal with wealthy people that are in car, most of them have adequate insurance.
But most of them have adequate insurance. But to my point is, we're going after the insurance. We're not going after the individual. And so this is what happened recently. Because when we file, like I said, when we file a claim or we file a lawsuit, yes, we're naming the person as the name insured, but we're going after the insurance company, right? And it might be State Farm, it might be Progressive, it might be Farmers, it might be Allstate, Geico, Safeco, Liberty Mutual, Travelers, auto owners. I don't like you right now, auto owners. You name them. That's who we're going after, right?
Right.
So when we file suit, okay, so if you guys ever get involved in if you're ever involved in an accident, you ever get sued, hand that complaint or hand that document straight over to your insurance company, because they're contractually obligated to step into your shoes and defend you and represent you. So when we file suit, we got to name the person that caused the accident, but really we want to get to the insurance company.
Yeah.
Right. So technically that defense lawyer will step in and represent the individual.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what they're contractually obligated to do. You pay your premiums. They have to defend you.
You get a lawyer. It's almost like public defender.
Yeah.
You get a free lawyer.
Yeah.
But it's not free because you pay for it.
Yeah. You pay every month.
Free lawyer for you, free lawyer for you, free lawyer for you. If you're involved in an accident, you get a lawyer.
You do.
Okay. Do you think they represent that person?
Again, under the contract, they're supposed to, right?
I mean, technically, I guess under the contract, they represent the individual insured who caused that accident.
And in most of these lawsuits, we're naming that person. We're not naming State Farm or any of these insurance companies that unless there's elements of bad faith, we're naming the person that got in the car accident.
But to the theme of this podcast today, why insurance companies don't pay what you deserve is because guess who that defense lawyer really represents?
The insurance company.
The insurance company. And I finally had a lawyer. I don't think he meant to say it. I think he was kind of getting mad at me and started to, call me names and say my case sucked and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then
did he do any low blows, like any real insults that really, got you? You were like, hey, that one hit. That one stuck a little.
Anytime someone tells me I'm wrong, I don't love it.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah, I mean, I'm wrong a lot. So let's also be honest. But I started to ask him because we were talking about this particular defendant who we were suing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's an entity. And I said, well, don't you know what's going on? You represent that particular entity. I represent the insurance company. I haven't talked to that entity or anybody from that company. And I'm like, wait, what? Time out. Did you just say that? Like, I appreciate you saying that because finally someone actually had the nerve or I don't know, not the smarts to actually say it out loud.
Yeah. One of the two.
But finally the truth. Yeah, you don't represent that entity or that person.
Yeah.
You represent the insurance company. And you haven't talked to that person or that entity or anyone from that company because, let's be honest, you represent the insurance company. And all that you care about is coordinating with the adjusters because the claim adjusters stay on the files.
I mean, that's really who that feels like their client is those claims adjusters. That's
they
who they're
stay on the case.
Beholden to.
In fact, you guys, and if you've been in a situation, or you may know, when we go into mediation and we're talking with a defense lawyer in the other room, is the defense lawyer in the other room with the client? Never. They are always in the other room with the claims adjuster. So, or really, as I like to refer to him, the wizard behind the curtain. Right?
Right. Well, and we've had a couple of times where even the defense attorney's like, look, guys, I agree with your position. They'll tell us that. I mean, they're
trying
like,
to get my claim adjuster to move.
I can't get the claim adjuster to move just like you couldn't,
Claim adjuster didn't come today with any money.
Yeah.
They don't have any authority. They have to go back to their supervisors and get additional authority because they were sent to this mediation with zero money or very little money. And they're telling us they're hamstrung because they weren't given the proper authority or a reasonable amount of authority to come and actually settle this case today.
You know what it feels like sometimes is like, when you're buying a car and you want to talk to the manager, and there's a show out there called Fresh Off the Boat that like one of the episodes was them trying to keep getting to the actual manager, and they keep digging and digging to get the best price because you ask the sales rep for the price and let me go talk to my manager. with the insurance company, sometimes it feel like that. Like, wait,
Who's
who's
can
the
actually talk to
boss?
that
Because
can
the
make a
attorney
decision?
doesn't have authority. They're beholden to the insurance company. But even sometimes the rep in there, like, well, I don't have authority for that. And I'm like, well, why don't we have the person who's making the decision in the room, man?
Yeah. So look, this may help. This may help any of you out there trying to buy a car right now.
Yeah.
If you go back and talk to a finance manager, you need to talk to somebody that's even higher than the finance manager.
Yeah.
Don't talk to your sales guy or woman that are trying to sell you this car. Talk to the finance manager, and then on top of the finance manager, talk to the general manager, because deals can be had with additional authority or additional approval.
Yeah.
But they're all trying to keep you from talking to the next level because they don't want you to go get additional authority.
Yeah.
So if you're out buying a car right now, just be mindful of that. You want to talk to the sales manager, on top of the finance manager, on top of that, maybe the general manager, and say, what are you going to do today to sell me a car? Right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I guess if you're happy with getting bent over a little bit,
Yeah.
just talking to the lower level individual, then do it. Some people just like their car and they want to go. And I'll tell you this, though. Say what you will about Elon Musk and Tesla at the moment. And he could go either way. Either love Elon right now, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of TikToks recently. They're like, I bought my Tesla when
Before Elon was crazy.
when he was normal. So I just saw there's like
There's
like
bumper
a bumper sticker.
Yeah, there's
going
bumper
around.
stickers.
So yeah, if you have a Tesla, you may need that sticker.
Yeah.
I have one, and I don't know whether I'm going to put the sticker on or not. I might. I don't know.
Or the opposite. You're like, I bought my Tesla after Elon.
Yeah, after Elon. I don't know.
I don't know if there's that many.
Look, depending on where you are, and I don't know. Let's not get into that quite yet. However, what I want to say is the Tesla purchasing experience was very nice. It's very easy. You buy it, so you can pick it up. You're done. You're out the door in like 5 minutes.
Well, does it ever feel like, with most things we purchase, like cars, the one thing that like there's all this haggle room that you almost wish like, why not just list the car for what it costs?
Well, that's exactly what we say to insurance companies. Why don't just pay the claim what it's worth?
That's true.
But they don't.
They don't.
They don't ever pay what the claim is worth. Hence the theme of our podcast today. Why don't they pay what our clients deserve?
Yep, I agree.
And they don't, because they're trying to protect the bottom line. They're trying to, and this is something to be fair to insurance companies, to be fair to adjusters. I have a sister-in-law who's an adjuster. I love her. I think she's fantastic. Highly respect her. She might be soulless, and doesn't have a heart, but
naturally.
But I respect what they do. And so, to be fair to them, they are also trying to be accurate in their evaluation of claims. So, when people ask all the time, do I need an injury lawyer? Do I need to hire an injury lawyer? What's the difference between an injury lawyer and maybe like, I don't know, a regular lawyer or like a family law lawyer or a
the guy that did my divorce really helped me out.
Yeah,
when I
like him. I like her. Why can't they help me? So the reason why is because there are things called reserves, like I had mentioned earlier. And insurance companies are trying to set reserves because they're trying to identify what the cases are worth so that they can properly report back to the home offices or headquarters, and then they have to be able to substantiate why they evaluated the case the way they did.
And sometimes my guess is that their range, once they set it appropriately, and our range, we're just on the higher end of their range on some case. Some of them we're going to agree to disagree, but some of them,
right.
My guess is they're on the lower end of what their range is, and we're on the higher end of what their range is, and we're going to find a middle ground.
And that's totally possible.
That's totally possible.
So they are trying to be accurate in their reporting, because they have to be accurate to report all that they have to report as these giant corporations do. Yeah. So they are doing that, and that's fair, right?
Yeah.
But why it's so important you actually hire an injury lawyer is because we are trying to, with evidence that we receive, information we receive, as soon as possible, get as much as that to the insurance companies so that they can set their reserves appropriately.
Well, and one of the things too is we know this from, insurance adjusters and people that that are high up in decision making for insurance companies. Because as soon as they leave, then they find their soul, and then they'll disclose it. But they'll tell you.
Oftentimes than not, they come to our side.
Yeah, but they'll tell you, one of the big things that they do is a big factor is who's on the case, what attorney firm is there, right? Do they have a track record of going to trial? Will they file litigation? Because again, it's just insurance companies been doing AI way before it was called AI, right? They have these massive databases that they've been using to inform decisions for 20 years, way before everyone else was doing it. And they used to call it Colossus. There's a couple of different names, but it's still under the same.
Yeah, you
same
can Google Colossus. Google Colossus right now. You'll find that's a term that it's a CRM or a data AI database or I don't know if it's AI, but it's a database they use to determine case value.
Yeah, and one of those factors that goes into that is this attorney going to file a suit? And they know if they, they're making a good informed decision for their client, which is shareholders and their bottom line, which is this criminal defense guy going to take us to trial? No way.
No way.
And we almost hope he does,
right?
Because they'll win. You're going against, again, some of the best defense firms in the state, reputations for defending big trials. And you're really going to use the guy that has never done this before, and he's going to win big on his first try? Probably not.
Probably not. And the defense lawyers, we have a lot of friends that are defense lawyers. They're great lawyers. They're great people. And they're doing, like you said, they're doing their job. But in order to level the playing field, that's why you have to kind of go in with an advocate and an injury lawyer so that you have somebody that can actually compete against those that are doing it on the daily basis.
Yeah. And so that, again, when, if I'm the State Farm rep and I see that it's someone that has never done an injury case, or I don't see their name, we don't recognize them in our system, why would you offer more money, right? Why would you set your reserves higher?
Instantly, the value is lower.
Instantly,
the value is lower. And that's the reality of it. And not that they couldn't be a great criminal defense lawyer. They're just
not in their lane. And in the same way that I would never try to draft a business contract for a large corporation or mergers or a patent application.
You wouldn't,
right? No.
You could do it.
With 10 years experience, I'd do it.
I couldn't do it.
We couldn't do it. It's not within our lane. And, just like you don't have the guy that, makes the best burger in the world do your taxes or something, right? It has nothing to do with one or the other. And the same
Who's
thing
the
goes.
Guy that makes the best burger in the world?
I don't know.
What about Utah?
What's the best burger place? Let's focus on where you have been. What's your favorite burger you've ever had?
That's a good question.
I always go to steaks, right? Because steaks is probably an easier barometer.
Let's go burger. Burger, that's a good one. I think, well, you're going to like more of a gourmet burger, like a restaurant that's like nationally like recognized, or you're talking more like a fast food burger? Because the fast food burger.
Let's do both.
Fast food burger, I'll say, in my opinion, and the drive-through line says otherwise, but the best, I don't even think they have drive-through. I think the best fast food burger is Five Guys.
I was going to say the same thing.
1,000%, hands down, Five Guys.
I think Five Guys has it.
Like, it's not even a question. But you go to the In-N-Out line and drive through, because my son's always asking for In-N-Out, and I'm like, I can't do it.
Nope.
Like, I can't sit in that line for 45 minutes.
Now,
it's not even that good.
Now,
it's good.
If you waited in that line and they gave you a Five Guys burger, would you wait in line for that long?
I'd consider it.
Yeah, that's what makes it more interesting, because there are some, right? There's some burgers, and some of it was even dictated by
Carl's Jr. is better than In-N-Out.
But when you were in high school, what was your go-to burger? Well, it was based on price, right? It was
because you're paying $1.
Yeah,
so
it was like
McDonald's.
Who's got the dollar
or,
menu, and what can I afford for the stretch my money for lunch money?
That's still about the bendies.
And as I've added kids to that menu, I will say there's times when it's like, I don't want McDonald's, or I don't want this.
Well, yeah,
but because I got to buy it for all my kids, heck yeah, we're not going to,
all right, this is a question I have, and if you're listening to the We Win Injury Law podcast and you're watching, throw up in the comments. I want to know, do people still go to In-N-Out for the price or the nostalgia or the taste? Price, nostalgia, taste. That's what I want to know.
For me, it's never been taste, so it would have to be nostalgia.
Well,
but there's my guess is there's those out there that
like, is the pricing fair at In-N-Out?
I mean, I would say it's equal to Five Guys.
Well, yeah,
because
you're
similar price.
Well, it's a la carte, right?
Yeah.
No, you can get a combo.
Yeah, you can get a combo, and they have like their special menu at Five.
For like a for like, and the fries
If you get a burger, fries, and
And
a
a
drink,
drink.
you're over $10.
at
That-
In-N-Out.
That's
Really?
like everywhere now, though.
I know, but I thought it was cheaper. That's why I was wondering whether people go because of the price.
I don't think it's the price. I still think your best price places are still going to be your McDonald's and Burger King.
Well,
and
look
some of these.
again when you go by the In-N-Out drive-through line and it's 50 cars deep. Is it price, nostalgia, or taste? And in my opinion, it can't be taste.
I'm with
The
you.
fries. Look, I gotta stop eating fries. The Chick-fil-A fries. Don't get me started. They're the
Oh,
best.
They're the best.
So, In-N-Out fries, they're not good.
I agree.
They're not good. So
I
it
agree.
can't be the taste on fries.
It
The
can't be.
hamburger? Look, I guess if you go grilled onions, animal style, and get crazy on it with a double, that's tasty. All right, that's tasty.
Even then, like, you have to eat it right then and there, or else it's like the soggiest, mushy. Again, I'm
Me
gonna.
too. That's why
we're
I don't
just
get it.
You know,
I don't.
there's going to be some people. My guess is that are going to hate on it because there is a. I bet if we were to look right now, if we could see
If
through,
you could go to the In-N-Out line, I guarantee.
I
it's
guarantee there's
at
50
least
people in that line.
30 to 50. Deep.
Yeah, it's always back.
Now, granted, we are in Utah, so our In-N-Outs are a little more sporadic than maybe California, and there's an In-N-Out on every other corner.
Yeah.
However, I don't know. I just don't see it. Five Guys, delicious. Carl's Jr., okay. What
Again,
else is there? What
well-
else has survived?
Well, and there's a lot of like, right? You like a diner, you know, if you go, there's some fun diners, I feel like more up north that you get a good.
I just saw an article saying
Good
that
burgers and-
Red Robin are going to close most of their restaurants. And it's a hamburger joint. It's been around
Yeah.
forever, but I don't think it's that good. And the fries are okay, but see? So we're talking about lasting power. In-N-Out, been there. Five Guys, Carl's Jr. And then what do you got? McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's? Look, I got to do a shout out to Brilliantly Dumb. You know, Bob Does Sports. You see that guy on TikTok and Instagram? He's hilarious. But he was literally just talking about how the Wendy's hamburger, now, he can like chime in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's vibing on the Wendy's hamburger like it's his number one. And I don't know if I could ever
Well,
say that.
between the big
I still
three,
can't
right?
say that.
McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's. Which is your preference? If you got to go between
Oh,
those big,
gosh.
they're the biggest chains.
I have a
probably.
good friend that owns some McDonald's. I got to be careful. But no, I think to me, Burger King.
See, mine was always Wendy's, but I think again that was back to those days when you get a junior bacon cheeseburger for
All right, Junior Bacon Cheeseburger is pretty good.
right.
That's
That was
pretty
kind
good.
that was kind of the classic like
Maybe
high
that's
school
why- That's why
burger.
Brilliantly Dumb. Bob Does Sports. That's maybe what he's talking about.
Maybe he's-
the bacon double cheeseburger.
But then
pretty
again,
good.
is it back because nostalgia? Because it was like those high school days when Wendy's there for you when you were broke.
Yeah, and they have a nice frosty. It's a mean frosty.
It's a mean frosty.
And then you dip a little French fry in the frosty. That's pretty good too. I don't know.
That's a hard one.
Okay.
We'll let the internet decide.
Okay. All right. If you're watching and listening, I got to know. In-N-Out. Nostalgia, price, or taste. Those three. What is it? And if it's all three,
Say it. It's all three.
say it. I got to know. Back to insurance companies and back to why we're doing what we're doing. Look, we're passionate about being injury lawyers. We're passionate about fighting and advocating on behalf of our clients. We're passionate about arguing with adjusters. We do it every day. We're passionate about fighting with defense lawyers. Some, for the most part, are pretty cool, and so we don't really fight. But we do have to be aggressive, and we have to assert our positions and say why we think our clients deserve what we think they deserve. And back to kind of what we started: politics, religion, money. All of those things are relevant in determining case value. And we can talk about whatever state you might find yourself in, but in Utah, as we mentioned earlier, Utah is a predominantly Mormon state.
Yeah.
It is a predominantly Republican state. In fact, I think, didn't it just go Trump in the most recent election?
Yeah.
And I think if you would have asked anybody in Utah prior to the election night how they thought it was going to go, I don't think anyone would have disputed it was going to go Trump.
Yeah.
There's no question. We talk about that not because we want to trigger anybody on their politics and on their perspective of politics, but because that's relevant when we're determining what your case is worth. And that's relevant because when we file suit and we ask that the complaint be heard by jury, we have to list it on the document that we want a jury trial. We have to recognize that the 50 or 60 people that are going to be called in for jury duty are more likely than not white conservative Republicans that may have voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you just have to know that how those particular people may make a decision in regards to a jury verdict.
Well,
right?
and it would be interesting to do a study on, because the amount of cases that get filed, and I'm sure there's statistics out there for every single state on how many claims are filed with insurance companies, and how many of those claims get filed suit. Maybe we'll pull those statistics for another episode. But then of those that actually go to a jury trial, right? And so then defense argues it, we argue it, that we all know what a Utah jury is going to do, and we're trying to make the best informed decision. Again, knowing your audience, knowing your state very well. But it would be interesting to know, like, again, is the sampling size so small that it's really just we're basing these decisions off of things that just haven't happened enough? Or is it just like statistics? We can, you can do a sampling size of 400 people and somehow get a national statistic that are fairly accurate within a, they'll have a margin of error. But when you're dealing with juries in our state, I feel like we still are kind of like, would you guess it's less than 0.1% that go to a jury trial of all the accidents that have injuries, of all the claims? I think it's
Probably.
less than 0.1%.
That's probably in that 1 to 2, maybe 3% range.
Yeah, but
or even less. I mean, but
at the same time, you're having to build your case.
But you're right, and
on that we're going to go to that jury. We're gonna present to a jury, and so we have from the day one. The narrative always has to be, we're going to trial.
Yeah, because everything we do as injury lawyers is we have to do it with our lawyer hats on.
Yeah.
Right? We can't just be like, we have our lawyer hat on, but we're never going to use it, and so we're never going to take it to trial. Yeah. No, you have to do it. And you have to be prepared to go to trial. So everything we do is with the anticipation that we're going to trial.
Yeah.
But and we do that, and we've done that. But what I think it's important to understand, and what kind of go to your point, in Utah also we have a very small population.
Yeah.
Like statewide, I think we have maybe 4 million?
Yeah. It's pretty low. Yeah, it's around there.
So, I mean, to the south, we have Nevada, and Las Vegas alone has like 5 million people. So when you think about the number of, and how many visitors they have coming in, so then obviously the visitors come in, they get hurt, they slip and fall, or whatever it may be. That's why if you've ever been to Las Vegas, every billboard, or seemingly every billboard in Las Vegas, is an injury lawyer. So
3.504 million in Utah.
3.5 million people in Utah. That's not very many people.
No.
So then the number of accidents, and then accidents with injuries, and then the number of claims filed, and then number of actually lawsuits filed on claims filed, and then actually ones, cases that go to trial. Yeah, probably
pretty little. And then even within the state, our jury pool also differs, right? So we have the pool that your jury is pulled from is county specific.
Right.
And we know that, if anyone that knows the Utah demographic knows that Salt Lake is a very different demographic.
More liberal, for sure.
Than probably every other county in the whole state. Maybe Park City would probably be a little more reminiscent of, but again, then we're taking into other factors like wealth, and there's other factors that do impact your jury. But as far as the racial makeup, probably similar. But again, that informs your decision on something that, again, we're still having to plan this all based on what might happen 0.01% of the time.
And on the flip side of that, who your client looks like, and what your client looks like, and your gender, and your age, and their political maybe affiliation, and all those things are relevant, which goes back again. Big corporations are protecting what they protect. That's their money. That's their asset. That's their bottom line, right? And obviously we're doing everything we can to maximize justice for our clients. So when you're thinking about who to hire, what to do, or you've been injured in an accident, you have to remember this is what we do. And we're doing everything we can to fight for you, to fight for justice. And at the end of the day, to do everything we can to win. So when you're looking for, or if you have questions or just want to be entertained, because we're going to talk a lot about a lot of different cases on this podcast, a lot of hopefully relevant cases. Right now, you got the Baldoni, Blake Lively thing, which is crazy. We've got Casey Anthony's making an appearance on social media.
Yeah.
I met her personally.
I was going to say, you have met her. So
I've met her personally. You got Diddy, like what's going on with the world of Diddy. Goodness gracious. We're going to bring in a bunch of bottles of lube later so that we're covered there.
Well, the Idaho killers case is starting to have some.
That's going to trial in August. The 4.
That's heating up.
Idaho 4. So there's a lot of things we're going to talk about. And we know lawyers around the country. And so we know all the cases that are going on. We follow a lot of the big trial lawyers that have cases going on around the country. There's a lot of fun things that are happening in Utah. So subscribe and tune in. Hopefully you find this entertaining. We got a lot more to come and share with you. Remember, insurance companies have literally one job to do, to pay you as little as possible. Our job, to win.